Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a new video. I'm out here in the shed in the backyard, which I think I'm slowly going to turn into a studio to record content in, excuse me. But it's a little messy out here. We've got a bunch of tools and wood, etc. So forgive the kind of messy look. I do think I might put a green screen behind me and really kind of turn this into like a studio that I can come out to whenever I want and shoot content. But this video, you guys, I want to talk about a really crazy story that happened to me when I was going through my addiction phase. Now, this was before I got into alcohol really heavily. This happened years and years ago, over a decade ago. I was with a buddy, and I'll explain the situation or what happened in just a moment. But you guys, before I got into alcohol and started becoming an alcoholic, I had a brief period of time where I toyed with a lot of prescription drugs. And this situation this experience that I'm going to share with you happened when I was toying around with prescription drugs. Now, there was one person in particular that I used these with 99.9% of the time, unless I was taking them alone. He was a really close friend of mine. I spent so much time with this individual. I'm not going to name his name. Before I continue, I just want to say I apologize for the bad audio. I think my mic is broken, so just a little disclaimer here, letting you know why the audio sounds really grainy. I need to try to get this fixed. But where was I going with this? I spent a lot of time with this individual. I became very, very close to him. Now, unfortunately, let me just give you guys kind of a backstory. I met this individual on swim team in high school. We immediately clicked. We started spending a lot of time together. Now, before I got my license, I didn't get my license until I was 18. So my buddy had his license when he was 16. So he wouldn't pick me up to go to school, but he would always take me home. And usually he would, he had this awesome little Geo Metro. Thing was awesome. It was a 3-cylinder. He would drive me back to the house where I lived at the time every day after school, Monday through Friday, and he'd usually stay for 1 to 3 hours. We would do homework sometimes, but more often than not, we would just play Mortal Kombat and PlayStation games. So we spent a ton of time together. And when I first met him in high school, we were both very straight edge. We didn't toy with anything. We didn't really even drink. But as time went by, we both started to experiment. It started with cannabis, alcohol, etc. Even though I didn't drink a whole lot, I did drink from time to time in high school. One thing led to the other, and we began using prescription drugs, abusing them, right? And I'm not sharing this to glorify drug use or alcohol use. I'm sharing this to try to keep you away from these things. You don't need to toy with this shit, you guys. It is very dangerous and can get you into a lot of trouble really quickly. Drugs, alcohol, etc. So again, I'm not glorifying drug use and alcohol in this video. I'm trying to warn you to keep you away from it because it is a hole you don't want to get yourself into. So, long story short, we got really close. We started toying around with shit we shouldn't have been toying around with. And one night, we decided to try a particular substance, right? This wasn't a prescription. I'm not going to name the substance. All I'm going to say is that it was illegal. And I met someone through someone who sold this particular substance. Now, to get this substance, we had to drive about 20 minutes from my house where I grew up in California. Now, where this location was to pick this substance up, it was basically a ghetto. All the houses had like shattered windows, boarded up windows, lawns that had overgrown, like the houses looked totally dilapidated, etc. It was a very bad neighborhood. Now, we went there let me just get into the story now that you guys kind of have a little bit of preliminary information. First and foremost, we should have never been there because of the area itself was dangerous as fuck. But we were dumb And we decided to call this individual, and just for the sake of this video, I'm going to call him Zach. That wasn't his real name. But we went to meet Zach at his home in this particular Cuddy area in California. It was a summer day, guys. And this is an important part of the video, that it was a summer day. It was bright out. There was no clouds. The sun was bright as fuck. It was like just a hot summer day, right? And when I explain to you guys what happened, I'm sure some of you guys probably won't believe me because it sounds so insane that this kind of thing could happen. So, me and my buddy, I'm driving this time. I think this was either in senior year or like the year after high school, right? So I had my license at this point. I had a white 240 Volvo. I loved that thing. I wish I still had it. So me and my buddy get in the Volvo and we start driving towards this location. And as I get closer to this location, I get this horrible feeling in my gut that I wasn't supposed to be going to this location and doing what I was doing, right? But I ignored it. And the more I ignored it, the more this overarching impending doom sensation began to fill my senses. I knew I wasn't supposed to be there. It was like a supernatural hand coming down, trying to steer me away from where I was going. But I didn't listen, right? So we get to the location, and I don't park in front of the guy's house that's selling us this substance. I park about 2 houses down. So I parked the Volvo. His house was 2 houses down. I didn't want to park right in front, right? And as I'm pulling into where I parked, right, and I put my car in park, I had this momentary lapse. How would I explain it? I entered into this like weird, almost meditative state, right? And my buddy's sitting right next to me, and I don't remember if I closed my eyes or what, but I basically just said, what did I say? I said, God, if you don't think I'm supposed to be here, please give me a sign. Now that just shows how dumb I was at the time, because I knew I wasn't supposed to be there at all. I didn't need God to tell me. But I'm sitting in the car, my buddy's next to me, I'm parked, and I say, God, if I'm not supposed to be here, please give me a sign. And this is where this is where things get crazy, you guys. This is where things get crazy. All of the sudden, my light keeps flickering. I don't know what's going on with that. Give me 1 second, guys. All right, we're just going to have to deal with that. All of the sudden, I start hearing what sounds like pellets hitting the top of the Volvo, right? Just pop, 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 pop. And all of a sudden, I start seeing these little white objects, right, hitting the windshield. And I look out the window, and I see all these white little pellets hitting around my car in a circle. It was like they were making a perfect circle around my car, and I'm going, what the fuck is going on here? I get out of the car, guys, and remember, this is a summer day. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. Well, until I got out of my vehicle. I looked up, you guys, and above my car, there was a cloud. An ominous looking cloud. And it was hailing on my vehicle. Violently hailing. And when I looked around the car, it was a circle of hail. Somehow this hail was landing in a perfect circle around my car, smacking against the top of the vehicle, etc. It got so crazy that at one point I couldn't even see out through the windshield. There was that much hail not only hitting my vehicle, right, but staying on the windshield. I looked over at my buddy and we were just blown away. He didn't know what to think. He didn't know that I said a little prayer to God about whether I should be there or not, right? So he wasn't in the loop, if you will. But guys, if that wasn't a sign, the way that the hail was hitting the vehicle, the fact that it was only hitting my vehicle in a perfect circle around my vehicle, there was a cloud above the car, I knew it was a sign that I was not supposed to be there. I knew in my heart of hearts that that was a sign that I should leave. I don't think, unfortunately, I don't think, you guys, my words alone will be able to describe just how intense this experience was. Not only was it insane, just the fact that it was hailing in summer only on my vehicle. There was a fucking cloud above my car. Not only was that insane, but the experience spawned within me this impending sense of dread. Like I was going down the wrong path, because I fucking was. Now, this happened literally seconds after I asked God to give me a sign. It just started fucking hailing. And it lasted, I would say, probably 30 seconds to 45 seconds. And there was a circle around the car, guys, because the pavement was so hot that it was causing the hail to melt. So there was just a circle around my vehicle of water and hail on my car. Now, I don't know if anybody else saw this. Me and my friend were not on anything other than tobacco. I know that this wasn't a hallucination because he was seeing it as well. And we talked about this for years after this happened. So again, we weren't on anything, guys. We weren't, and even at that point when we did toy around with stuff, we weren't toying around with psychedelics. We weren't toying around with things that would make you see stuff that wasn't there. I know that this was a real experience. I know in my heart of hearts. Now, what happened after that, you guys? Well, me and my buddy, he didn't know that it was a warning sign, but I'm pretty sure he knew in his heart that something was wrong here. I didn't listen to the warning, and neither did he. And I got out of my car, I went to the front door, I met Zach, got the substance, put it in the car, and drove home. Now, when you get a warning like that, and you don't listen to it, you're setting yourself up for some serious issues, you guys. This was a supernatural warning. We went back to my parents' house, we took the substance, and we had the worst night of our lives. And I'm not in this video going to explain what happened. All I'm going to say is that by not listening to that sign that I asked for, I set myself up for a lot of bad energy. This led to a downward spiral that I will explain in future videos if you guys want to hear me talk about it. This was it's insane. Again, in the middle of summer, not a cloud in the sky. There was no breeze, nothing. My car, all of a sudden, a cloud spawns above it, and it starts throwing hail violently on my car. And the way that the hail sounded as it hit my vehicle, it was like a warning. It caused these sensations in me where I knew damn well that this was an answer to my question to God. Again, I sat there and I said, God, if you can hear me, please give me a sign if I'm on the wrong path, if I shouldn't be doing this, if I shouldn't be, you know what I mean? And that just shows how stupid I was at the time. Not to be repetitive, I said that earlier, but I knew damn well I wasn't supposed to be there. And even when I ask God for a warning and he gives me one, clearly I don't listen to it. And when you don't listen to that, you guys, when you get a supernatural warning to not do something and you do it anyways, you set yourself up for a lot of failure, for a lot of strife. And that's exactly what happened. This experience led to a string of supernatural experiences surrounding drug use, alcoholism, and addiction, and I will talk about that in the future. This wasn't my only supernatural warning, best believe. I've had many of them, you guys. These warnings, these supernatural warnings, to get back on track, stop doing what you're fucking doing because you're going to kill yourself, etc. Now, I wasn't going to say this in this video, but I'm feeling like I should. That friend of mine that I spent so much time with, that I stayed in contact with after high school, etc., sadly passed away from an overdose. And this was somewhat recently. Yeah, not like a few weeks ago. It was like 1 to 2 years ago. I can't remember the exact date. Because after high school, we stayed in contact, right, after high school and whatnot, but he moved out of state. He left California, I think, and then came back and then moved to San Francisco. And by the sounds of it, he was sober for a really long time. He was doing amazing. And he must have just met the wrong people, been hanging around the wrong people, because he did like being around people. And oftentimes he would surround himself with people that didn't have his best interest at heart. And even though I behaved in a way at the time when I knew him, we didn't do drugs and all this shit all the time, but it got to a point where we were doing them frequently. even though I was being a bad influence on him at the time because he was younger than me, etc. I did have his best interest at heart. I loved him. And that's why after another supernatural experience that happened, and maybe I'll talk about that in the future if you guys want to hear it, I got sober and inspired him to get sober as well. And he stayed on the straight and narrow for a very long time. But guys, man, before I continue, and I'm going to wrap this one up probably within the next 5 minutes or less, I want you to leave comments in the comment section if you've had strange experiences like this. I'd like to hear your feedback about my experience as well. Please hit the like button. Please leave comments. Please hit the notification bell. The more you guys do that, the more the YouTube algorithm shares my content, and I want this content to reach people. I didn't listen to that warning, and I got humbled massively. And if I remember right, you guys, our desire to use the drug was so strong that on the drive home, we didn't even talk about what had happened. But we both acknowledged it because, again, he looked at me and was like, what the fuck is this? How is it hailing right now? And I know it's hard to believe, guys, but I have no invested interest in lying to you, especially about something relating to addiction and drug use, etc. We were like, what the fuck is going on here? And to open my car door and get out and to see almost a perfect circle of hail landing around my vehicle and on top of my vehicle, I mean, what the hell? I've always wondered if someone saw that through the window, like a neighbor, or someone walking, or I really don't think, however, that anyone saw it. I think that this was for our eyes only, and I think that God engineered things to keep it that way. He kept people from having wandering eyes to see this. To me, this is a paranormal supernatural experience, and one that I didn't listen to because I was a dumbass for a good portion of my life, especially when I was a late teen, early, before I went into my 20s, 18 to 19. I mean, we used to do so much crazy shit, you guys, and I've had so many supernatural experiences surrounding addiction, warnings from the angels, warnings directly from God. At least that's how I look at it, you guys. And again, I had a string of supernatural experiences surrounding the things that I was doing with this particular individual. And it led to me getting sober. It led to me, as an example, helping him get sober. But life's crazy, you guys. I miss this individual. Even though I haven't really stayed as close to him as I probably should have, just because life is crazy. We all end up going and off in our own directions and doing our own things. But man, it's just nuts looking back at it all. So that's my one of my stories, you guys. I'm going to wrap this video up by saying that when you get a second chance, take it. Don't violate it. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you're in a toxic situation in life or doing something very unhealthy for you, and you have signs, you should stop by default. But when you get supernatural signs, you guys, you better listen to those. And it's much easier to just not wait for the supernatural sign because many people don't get them. Right? And if you don't stop before it's too late, you can get yourself into literally a hole 6 feet under. This is not something to toy around with, you guys. It's not. And what's crazy now, and I feel this so strongly for the youth, is look at all the crazy drugs that are available on the streets now that weren't available, like, for instance, when I was going to high school I graduated in 2007, so I was in high school kind of in the early 2000s. We didn't have all the fentanyl. We didn't have all these crazy designer drugs. We didn't have all this insanity. Nowadays, young adults die daily because of fentanyl, a highly concentrated drug. It's nuts. It's nuts. Like, I can't imagine growing up in today's world and going to high school in 2024. Things have gotten insane, and it's not just the drugs that are insane. It's the people have gone insane too, guys. I've said it once and I'll say it again. This is Satan's kingdom. This is the evil one's kingdom. Now, I don't like to use the term Satan to describe evil because I don't look at Satan the way most people do. I view it as an archetype, and it can be a very positive archetype. Well, what I will say is that this is the evil one's kingdom. This is the evil one's kingdom. And there are illicit substances that you can take once and you're hooked for the rest of your life. It's best to just avoid all this shit, you guys. Stay on the straight and narrow to the best of your ability, right? But yeah, I'm going to wrap this one up, you guys. That's just one of many supernatural stories surrounding my experience, my drug use and all this nonsense. And guys, I'm here to tell you right now, I'm not sharing this in some way to try to glorify drug use. No, this is an educational resource to try to keep you from doing the stupid shit I did. And many of you guys have done just as dumb shit, if not more dumb shit than I. So we're in this together, you guys. But we have the ability to fucking delete all the bullshit, get back in line, and live a fulfilling life. Right? Live a fulfilling life. Isn't that what we all want? We all want to be happy. We all want to be loved. We all want to not be bored to death with life. We want to have an enriching life. And it's really hard to have an enriching life when you're toying around with substances and alcohol, etc. Now, there are things that you can utilize, like nootropics, to alter your consciousness that actually they provide benefit to you. There's ways to alter your consciousness that actually uplift you and make you more healthy. And we'll talk about that in the future, you guys. But all I want to say at the end of this video is rest in peace to my friend. Rest in peace to my friend. I'm not going to name his name because I don't think it's appropriate or necessary. But until next time, guys, may peace be with you all.